Hello everyone, Super Studios here again with another banger of a video. And today, I'm going to be talking about, actually wait, no, hold on. This is a guide video, that's right. So this is a guide video of how to play as one of the killers and become a killer. Freddy Fazbear. And yes, in this clip, I was using the Bonnie skin for Freddy Fazbear, but still, it's Freddy. It's just, I'm using a skin for him in this clip. But yeah, I'm gonna be you know telling you a guide of how to play as Freddy's Fazbear and such. So let's get started. So the first thing we were going about is how much points he cost. First things first, Freddy Fazbear costs 4,000 points. So he's pretty somewhat cheap for, well, to play as Freddy, obviously. And that's pretty much all I gotta say about his cost. So you can easily unlock him by, like, I don't know, I don't think it even takes that long to unlock him because he costs like what 4,000 points. That's pretty cheap. That's actually quite cheap, actually. Now we get to his stats. Freddy has 150 health and 35 sprint speed, which makes him, well, okay. So pretty much he's a little slow, but he's a little tanky somewhat. And there's a reason why he's a little slow for a moment. Now we got to Freddy Fazbear's abilities, which is his attack and his laugh. His attack deals great damage but has a short cooldown, and his laugh just makes him laugh. So let's get this straight. So yeah, he's pretty much a tanky killer, sorta, except he's slow, and he actually does pretty good damage, and of course he's got the laugh ability. So despite being, one of the more cheaper killers, he's actually not that bad. He's pretty decent. Although there are other tanky killers who are way better, but for a cheaper price, he's not that bad. Now I'm going to explain how you can play as him, well, more efficiently. So, considering he's one of the more tankier characters, you can actually put up, and because of the fact that he actually does pretty good damage, you can actually deal with something like Juggernauts and Mechs, which means you can actually deal with Mechs and Juggernauts, but you also gotta be considerate about your health because, well, Juggernauts are still, more tankier than you, and plus they got the minigun, and Juggernaut is the best survivor in the game because he can really just kill off 99% of the killer roster. And then there's Mech, who is pretty good at kicking too hard. And he's also pretty tanky too. So yes, even though Freddy Fazbear can do fine against Juggernauts and Mechs, you gotta be considerate about your health. Because again, he's tanky, but he still can get beaten by Mechs and Juggernauts. Well, yes, he does really good damage, but you just gotta be considerate about your health. So you can deal with Juggernauts and Mechs, just don't try to brute force it too much. Make sure you got a good amount of health before you try to kill either a Mech or a Juggernaut. And as for like other survivors, obviously he is a slow one, so it'll be very hard for him to catch up to most survivors. I mean, unless you're chasing a survivor along with like other killers. And obviously he cannot catch up to players using speed coils. And of course, he also can deal a good amount of damage to like the more weaker survivors as well. Because again, he does a lot of damage, so he can like two shot the more weaker survivors. And three shot survivors are somewhat tanky. I think three or four shot. I don't know, but overall, Freddy is actually not that bad. If you want to play a more tankier character, Freddy is definitely a good option. Again, you can deal with mechs and juggernauts as Freddy. You just gotta be, considerate about how much health you have left. Especially since, he's actually slower than the juggernaut and the mech. Yeah, if you get on low HP, they're gonna try to finish you off. So definitely be aware of that. And if they do end up finishing you off, well, you're just pretty much dead. But yeah, that's pretty much the guide I gotta give you about good old Freddy Fazbear. Um, yeah, that's pretty much about it of a guide to how to play as Freddy Fazbear. Now, how do I rate Freddy Fazbear? let's see. So he's pretty much somewhat tanky. He's slow, but he does good damage. Yeah, I gonna say I'm gonna give him a 7 out of 10 because again he's tanky and he does good damage. However, his one downside is that he's just slow. Overall, not that bad. 7 out of 10 for Freddy Fazbear. That's all I gotta say. I'm Boostable Studios. Catch you all next time.